Biloxi blues, it happens every night.
Every
I
night.
ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Have not.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the hook right here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, not so live from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill. And welcome, you bunch of low lifers. My name is Luke Duncan, and this is a Low Budget Live, not so live podcast for July the 18th. And it's ICAST week. It's ICAST week. So lots of game changers, as Fat Cat Newton says. Lots of game changers that all get released, 2 weeks before ICAST on social media. But nevertheless, we're going to be there in attendance in Orlando this week. If you happen to be there, if you work in the industry, if you get into the show, if you're there pro staffing, come say, hey, I'll be at TH Marine, Garmin, and Eagle Claw this week hanging out, mainly at TH Marine. The old home court, TH Marine. So we'll be there hanging out this week, all week. So recording this a day early because I gotta go. I gotta get on the road and get on down there to Orlando way. Hope all of you doing well out there. All right, we're gonna keep this short and sweet in the beginning here. I know I like to ramble, tell you what's going on in life. But want to get into these sponsors, and then there's a lot to talk about. Bass fishing has been like just crickets, and then there was all kind of stuff that happened this week. So want to get into it, and got a great guest. All right, first and foremost, Star Bright, kicking ethanol in the teeth, in your weed eater, in your chainsaw, but most importantly, in your outboard engine, because nothing ruins a great day on the water like an outboard engine that won't run due to stupid, dumb ethanol. I say it all the time. Ethanol is like that creepy uncle at the barbecue that's in the backyard that keeps talking to you about your girlfriends, and you're like, hey, I don't understand why you you got that weird mustache, Larry. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. And he corners you up, and you're like, get out of here. So if you would throw this bottle at him, he'd probably leave. Same thing with ethanol. You pour this in your tank, get rid of ethanol, kicking ethanol in the teeth with some StarTron. Appreciate the folks from StarTron bringing you Low Budget Live. Pro Guide batteries, got those lithium Pro Guides in the Express, got the AGM, the 31 series that I run for my cranking battery. They have been absolutely flawless for me. No issues whatsoever. I ran the AGMs as trolling batteries for the biggest part of the year last year, then switched to these new lithiums that are way lighter. It's insane how light they are, and it's crazy how long they stay charged. I'm really impressed. You can go get your own at ProGuideBatteries.com. You can tell them we sent you by using code LBL10. They got chargers on there. They got batteries. They got all kind of stuff. ProGuideBatteries.com. Go check it out. Baitworks.com. You've seen me making a lot of videos with things going on, moving and shaking at Baitworks. They are definitely on their way to being one of the internet's premier tackle store destinations for sure. And I appreciate their support here on the show and the rest of the channel. But they are having a huge July sale. They've had Zoom on sale. I think it's 20% off with Zoom for the entire month. I know they had some 13 fishing stuff. If you like their rods and reels, I know they got the Gerald Swindle line coming out. I personally have never used any of their stuff, so I can't speak to that. But it's on sale right now, and there will be every week they drop a new item that's on sale. Kitech swim baits. If you're a big Kitech person, I certainly am. All sizes. I absolutely love them for lots of different things. I'm going to do a video on that this week, hopefully, on Kitechs. But those are now on sale as well. But anything else, you can't double dip, but anything else you want on there, use code Duncan-10 to tell them you are a low lifer, and we certainly appreciate that. baitworks.com, bait-works.com, and Duncan-10 for the win. Thank y'all. And last but not least, we'll try to not get weirdly emotional. So I'm going to do this. Hang the banner. Express Boats, the classic winning aluminum boat. Express Boats, Hot Springs, Arkansas. The X21 Pro will be meeting its new owner tomorrow. Whoo, boy! I've bought and sold boats for years, obviously doing what I do, and this one's been special, man. I've just so many great memories with my boys in it, and so many new adventures in it. You know, going to the ocean, going up north. You know, Great Lakes a couple times, and freaking an aluminum bass boat. Just trying to put it through its paces to hush the naysayers and build confidence in the boat. Last year was my first one, and man, I can tell you it's one of my favorite bass boats I've ever been in, let alone have owned, and I cannot wait. I got confirmation my new ride is ready, and so dropping off the old X21 tomorrow, got her all spiffed up, cleaned up. My buddy Daniel Huntley did me a solid detail job this week, man, and hate to see her go, but I'm looking forward to getting the new bad boy in with that new Yamaha show on it. Looks mean. I can't wait to see what we got. So I'm like a kid at Christmas right now, but a little sad because my boys are bummed, dude. They're bummed that boat is going. I'm like, but we're replacing it with another Express. And man, they have loved that boat. So we have enjoyed it. And I just want to thank the folks, the Herndon family there, Clay Connor, everybody at Express, Chris Vines, Bobby Bittinger, Pee-wee, my man Pee-wee, the whole crew for just taking such great care of me all the time. So great family atmosphere there, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. Go take a ride in one. You will not be disappointed. All right, moving on. Lots of things, and we got a guest. Let me give me a drink. Anytime I got this many notes, it's fixing to be one of them. Well, let's be honest, I hadn't had one of them in a long time where I've just ranted and rambled. I feel like Castle and I did a pretty good job of it last week. We discussed a lot of the things that actually came to fruition just a few days later. We were hearing rumblings of. We were off a little bit on what we were hearing, but it ended up being the same thing. But first and foremost, NPFL, National Professional Fishing League, which obviously I do the live commentary for and love very much. It's been a lot of fun being a part of it and being on this ride with those guys for the last couple of years. And they dropped their schedule for 2023, dropped that on Friday right before ICAST hit, and it's a very interesting schedule to say the least. I love that about these guys. We have gone to a lot of the same venues that you get, Bassmaster goes to and MLF and all that good stuff. But that's the number one thing you see people cry about online. Schedule is the same thing over and over. But there's a reason that these tournament trails go to these same venues is that's where they can, the Chamber of Commerce, they get it. The tourism department, they get it. They understand what a bass tournament can bring. So that familiarity when you're working with those people is a reason you see a lot of these tournament trails go back. And on the behind-the-scenes side of it with NPFL, obviously I don't have a ton of input on the schedule. I mean, I do get in some of those conversations, but that is what they're starting to develop is, really good relationships at places, just like you see with Bass and MLF. And I think that when they go to a town, certainly, that it seems like they really appreciate the things the league does for these towns that they do and the videos they shoot and it's really it's cool. It's cool to see and hear some of the things that these folks say after they leave, but they try to keep it different. They try to keep it interesting, and I think next year's schedule is nothing short of that. Starting down at Amistad, however you say it, South Texas Del Rio. Going to go down there, no big trail. Been there in a long time, so they're going to kick off the year there. Then they're going back to Wright-Patman, where we went in the inaugural season. It was our best tournament there in 2021 for sure. Keith Carson won there. Then they're going to Santee Cooper late May, which I think is that's an interesting time of year. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect there. Obviously there'll be some shallow stuff going on and maybe, some deep, some brush pile stuff. Be very interesting to see how that one plays out. Santee is certainly one of those places that you just never know what you're going to get when you take the lid off that sucker. But Santee Cooper, Lake May, Clarendon County. Then they're going to Saginaw Bay, back to Saginaw. Incredible fishery. Obviously, we just showcased that in our last event there, and they're going mid-July this time. And then the only other one they have released, they did not release the 6th date. They're still working on that, and I think that one's up in the air with a few different venues right now, to be honest. But Lake Murray in South Carolina. Excuse me. That's how dumb I am. Lake Murray in Oklahoma, I believe, right? Am I right? I may not be right. Let's see if I'm right. I get Eufaula and Murray mixed up. Now I'm backpedaling. This is so typical me. And I work for them. I had so many people messaging me like, man, Amistad, the water's low, and this is you idiots for going here. It's actually Lake Eufaula in Eufaula, Oklahoma. My apologies to the folks. And there's a Lake Murray in Oklahoma, too. So you got Lake Eufaula in Alabama, Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma, and you got a damn Lake Murray in South Carolina, Lake Murray in Oklahoma. And I do this all the time. All the time when I'm talking to Oklahoma buddies. Anyways, Lake Eufaula in September, Eufaula, Oklahoma. And that's going to be an interesting event. Not a lot of history there for a lot of our anglers for sure. And then that 6th event and final event will be in October. So TBD. But yes, Lake Eufaula. Sorry. Goodness gracious. It's been a week. So very cool schedule. I think that, going to be a lot of driving for some guys, but it's a good mix, I think. And just like this year's schedule is so all over the place, I feel like the guy that earns that progressive AOI is certainly going to earn it for sure. All right, moving on. St. Lawrence River, it's not over with yet. I'm recording about halfway through the day here on Sunday. Jay Shakurit still on top. Had the young man on the show. If you guys remember, he's a phenom. He's called him all year long, and now he's getting into the part of the country that's in his wheelhouse, and he's showing out. Could go over the century mark. Over 100 pounds of smallmouth for 4 days. Absolutely insane. I predict he most likely will. Been watching it some this morning. It's that place. They caught it right on the head this week. Great weather other than in practice. And it's just disgusting what that place kicks out and how healthy of a fishery. And I cannot stress this enough because so many people are going to start going there. And it's already a lot busier than it is. We have to take care of that fishery. I've been there. I've seen the things that can happen there, and it's just too special. So if you go there, just always take care of it. Leave it like you found it for sure. And it's just one of those places in the world that I'm so grateful to have had the chance to be there a couple times. And I've never hit it just like this at all. I've had some special days there on Ontario especially, but this is it's been fun to watch this week for sure. Brandon Polnick off the newborn baby Miss Cora goes up there, smashes again, makes the cut. John Cox misses the cut, and BP is going to have a pretty daggone good lead going into those last two tournaments in the AOI. So Cox watch. John Boy slipped a little bit this week. He had like 20-something pounds the first day, 20, I think, and he wasn't even up. It's just silly. The place was silly. 60-something bags over 20 the first day, I think. It just makes you laugh. That's like Gunnersville back but these are smallmouth. Like you could see that at Falcon or something, but back in the day too, or Rayburn even if they called it on all cylinders. But dude, this is freaking smallmouth. So incredible. What a great week it has been. So much fun to watch for sure. Now, moving on to drum roll. Do I have a drum roll? No, I got this. This is not a drum roll. This is my drum roll. Come on. That's all I got. I need a drum roll. That's an applause button. I got a heartbeat. That sounds like a Kanye West song or something about to drop. So, Todd Castledine and I prefaced this a little bit last week in our rant. So many of you positive comments on that, and I appreciate that. Love, chewing the fat with Todd and breaking things down. But we talked about this rumor about the Bassmaster Opens that he and I were both hearing, and I've heard this rumbling for a while now. And first of all, I want to say there are multiple reasons I think that this happened. First of all, the relegation on the Elite Series guys getting booted out. There were several guys that got cut last year. Some of them deservedly so. Some of them that were right there hovering around that cut line. But anyways, they got kicked back to the Opens, the gauntlet, right? And then the bass fishing purgatory at times. And then this year they're going to be even more because they are trying to shrink that field up a little bit at Bass. And so the Elite Series anglers have voted on this. They have. They voted on this. They want less guys coming from the Opens and less guys getting kicked out of the Elite Series. And certainly not, there's going to be 9 guys now instead of 12. So 3 fewer spots coming out of the Opens. But they finally did announce it. They announced it early this week that now, and I had heard it was going to be a complete separate trail. Logistics-wise, I never figured out how they were going to pull that off. And so now they're putting all their marbles and the precedent on qualifying for the Elite Series. You have to fish all 3 divisions of the Opens. You have to fish 9 tournaments to qualify for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and you have to be in the top 9 in the points. Now, this year they had, at least by my math, 100 guys did that. 100 guys right at it fished all 3 divisions, okay? They take about 220, 225 in each individual divisions. They are absolute massive bass tournaments. There are people, for days. Very crowded, lots of boats in the Opens. But you had over 100 folks commit to, or right around that mark, commit to fishing all 9, which is not cheap. It costs just as much as fishing, fishing a national trail, whether it be the Pro Circuit, NPFL, those big high entry fee tournaments. It costs a lot. The travel is no cheaper just because it's a Bassmaster Open. Most of these guys go and practice for 72 days straight anyways. And so it's definitely something that I feel like has been needed for a lot of reasons. Now, I get some of the anger coming their way. I do. I understand that there are people that are highly capable of making it through one division. 3 spots out of 225 people, 3 spots per division. That's what it's been. 3 spots. And people are losing their minds online about these 3 spots going away. My argument has been, if a lot of guys, and we have seen this, if a schedule lines up and it's Pickwick and Wheeler for me, 2 lakes that I've fished my whole life, if it's those 2 lakes and then another lake that I got a buddy that lives on that's really good, chances are I could make it through that division, right? You could make it through that division. And that's how these schedules do line up at times. And so we have seen over the years, guys have a really good 3-tournament run in those Opens and get in that top 3, which is very difficult to do. And then they wash out in the Elites. They do. They wash out. More times than not. Then, and this is a guy I've seen beating the drum that this is wrong, even though he fishes BPT, but he's kind of taken up for his brother, and that's Jesse Wiggins, a guy that is near and dear to my heart. I love Jesse Wiggins, but Jesse has made the argument this week that he would have never made the Elite Series had this been the case because he was working and I understand that. But Jesse is the exception to that rule, in my opinion. His brother would be an exception to that rule if he qualified through a singular division because he's a fantastic angler. But his brother is in tournaments constantly around Alabama regional events and things like that, and has fished some singular Bassmaster Opens as well, Toyotas, whatnot. So, but I've seen Jesse's been loud and upset about this, like I have been kind of taking shots at the internet Mom's Basement Warriors that have been upset about it. Jesse's made some points, and I get that. I get that. I have said on this show many times, my goal of fishing the Bassmaster Opens was not to qualify for the Elite Series. I have a lot of irons in the fire, and that is not a dream that is burning deep inside of me. So this new decision doesn't really impact me. I would not fish all 9 opens. It's not something that I am comfortable financially rolling the dice for my family to do. And I think that's what it comes down to. Is the juice worth the squeeze in life? Is the risk worth the reward? And to some people, it is. Unfortunately, I fished FLW and I love it. I loved those years of my life. I did not do as well as I would have liked to have done, but had some success, had some failures. But I did it. I fished the Opens years ago. I fished the Opens again, and I'm jaded being in this industry, right? Everybody's like, Bassmaster crushed my dreams. I'm a working man. That's what I've said on social media 42 times this week. Working man, you just ruined this for the working man. Well, here's the thing. We're all working men and women. Like, we just are. Like, unless you got a trust fund uncle, right? Not Larry from the party that'd be sliding up on you about your girlfriends. If you got a trust fund uncle, then you can just do whatever you want to do. But I see these guys that are fishing all 9. They do have, some of them are fortunate to have people helping them sponsor-wise or whatever. But I see these guys sleeping in the backs of their trucks. I see Cooper Gallant, who's going to make it this year most likely, double qualify through a singular division and through all 9, sleeping in tents. Sleeping in tents at campgrounds, doing what he can to save a penny, to try to pursue this dream. There are so many guys that have been stuck in these opens for years and years and years and years, and it's what they want to do. It is their dream. But the difference in them and you getting fat-fingered on the keyboard, the difference in them and you is they're trying it. And I dare say that most people that bitch about things like this online, we're never going to do it. It was always going to be, well, next year was going to be my year. Well, thanks a lot, Bass. This was the year I was going to fish a division of the Opens. And maybe that's true. But it's also very convenient to squawk about that, because now you don't have to go out there and get your teeth kicked in and all your buddies in your local bass club go, yeah, we knew you wouldn't make it. Now you got a convenient excuse. Thanks a lot, Bassmaster. And I've seen a lot of that this week, that is that kind of person. There's a guy from my area that will remain nameless just because he's one of the biggest trolls online, and I just happen to know a lot, about the guy because he's in my area. We'll call him Motorbike Mouth Breather just for the sake of the conversation here. But he's a guy that is an expert on everything, right? And it's funny because I just assume that all the other people commenting are very much like this guy, and he's just a hater of all things because he has never accomplished anything, but he's never risked to try anything either. He just sits at home and stays on the internet all day complaining. And I just have a problem with that. That's whether we can all disagree or agree or have differing opinions, that's fine. That's fine. But to attack people or to just act like, that the world is falling apart because Bassmaster upped their game on the qualification structure of the top level of professional bass fishing is just hilarious to me. Like, people have truly acted like this week that if they decided to go try out for the damn Atlanta Braves, and I said this on Instagram, that as long as they could get off work and go hit a baseball, the Braves would let them on. And I've seen people, there was one lady in particular, it's like, I will no longer be a part of this, which she's not a part of it anyways. I'll no longer be a part of this due to the elitist nature. Well, it's called the Elite Series, first of all. But the elitist nature, this is just driving out more people. That's very inclusive. What professional sport, if we want this to be a professional sport, and that's all everybody sits around, coffee pot talk, they want this to grow and to be more professional. What professional sport can you just decide you're going to do? Please answer me that. What professional sport can you just roll up? Well, I'm good at driving a car in circles. So I pulled up. Hell, they put me in a NASCAR. That is not reality. It is not Bassmaster's fault. It's not Bassmaster's fault for laying out the groundwork. And my thing is, what else are you going to do? if you want to go to the upper echelon of professional bass fishing, I saw a lot of comments, well, Toyotas are going to be full. Yep, and they were this year. And guess what else will be full? The Bassmaster Opens again. There'll probably be more people fishing on 9, and I dare say every single division will be full. You know why? Because they're still going to give you a classic spot if you win a tournament. So hide and watch what happens. There are tons of people wanting to compete in high-risk, high-reward bass fishing, period. Paying the entry fees. There are a lot of people that want to do that. But the joke to me is saying that, well, I've seen people, well, Boyd Duckett designed this. Well, if he would have put another layer in the onion, okay? Because the Toyotas, which are similar to the Opens, only qualify you for the pro circuit, where then you get to go pay $35,000 to fish 6 tournaments. Okay, now granted, they do have a championship. They got live coverage. But I dare say some anglers get better coverage in the Bassmaster Opens than they do in the pro circuit, because now they're just wedged between the Toyotas and the BPT. And guess what, friend? If you do make it that far, last year there were like 5 dudes that thought they were going to get a chance to move up to BPT. And just because the rules got changed, guess what? You get to stay down at the pro circuit. And they took a top-tier trail like the FLW Tour and made it AAA. So there's no good way necessarily for most people to get to the top besides hard work, risk, and paying out the freaking nose. I've talked about that on this show. That's the reality of it. That's the reality. You want to be a bass pro? You want to fish the Elite Series? It's going to cost you thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and tons of hours and tons of time away from home and rolling the dice with your day job, with your family. Look at, man, the people that fail at this certainly outweigh the people that succeed. And there are probably 20% of the guys on the Elite Series, on the BPT, that the only thing they do in life is catch bass. That's the misconception. And I feel stupid because I've talked about it on here so freaking much. But if you qualify for the Elite Series, guess what? Congratulations, Luke. Great job. Now we need 40 grand. Not counting your travel expenses. So the people bitching that, well, now my dream is crushed. I only could fish 3, and I wanted to qualify. What in the hell are you going to do when the last tournament's in October and you do happen to qualify through a 3-event season, and they call you on the phone? Luke? Yes. Yes, I thought you would be calling. Chris Bowes. I don't know if Chris personally makes these calls. You qualify for the Elite Series. We need your deposits. And you need to figure out how you're going to take off 8 weeks or 9 weeks off work next year, bud. Oh, I did. I made it. What do you do in that situation? It's just like I said on Instagram. I've worked in this industry on the marketing side of it and sales side of it. I've seen the guys that automatically qualify and think the checks are coming their way. Because with TH Marine, I've had to be in the conversations where they get told no. That is not on the industry's shoulders to pay for your dream. If you can provide some value to them, then absolutely yes. But I think the biggest misconception is that once you get the golden ticket, that it's a free ride, baby. And that is not the case. Never will be. Never will be. But Bassmaster will be fine. All of you sitting at home crying will be fine, just like you were when you cried over FLW killing co-anglers and going to Marshalls, just like you were when Bassmaster took out co-anglers and everybody bitched it was the worst thing. Now everybody signs up to be a Marshal. Everybody signs up. Just like you were okay whenever Bass Pro Tour went no entry fee, back to entry fee, just like you were when the BFLs spiked the hell out of the, Major League Fishing spiked the BFL entry fee and payout. Absolutely sucks. And guess what? You keep showing up. Keep showing up. We're all addicted to this. If you love it, you're going to shut up. You're going to figure out what's best, what's the trail for you out there. But I'm just saying, if you can't figure out, real talk, if you can't on your couch, sitting at your job right now, you can't figure out how in the hell you would pay for 9 Bassmaster Opens or get off work for them, the Elite Series is not your dream. It's not. Period. End of story. It's a nightmare because you're going to lose everything you got because you're going to be out there fishing against these absolute assassins, and you're going to be worried about how you're going to pay your light bill or how you're going to get your job back when you've gone 5 tournaments without getting a check. Like, it's just reality, man. It is reality. It happens all the damn time. All the time. And ultimately, I'll close with this, and we got a great guest. But if you want to bitch about things, bitch about the entry fees going up constantly every year, and the payouts staying the same in all bass fishing, especially at the pro level. We don't have Stephen Browning and I talked about this. We do not have a championship that pays $500,000 anymore, let alone $1 million like the Forest Wood Cup used to. $1 million thanks to Ranger Cup and Walmart back in the day. Both of the championships pay $300,000 now. It's a lot of money. It ain't $500,000. It ain't $1 million. So we're growing the sport every single day. FLW Tour, $5,000 spike, Pro Circuit, $5,000 spike in entry fees last year. $5,000 spike. If we want to talk about something, talk about the Bassmaster Open payout. 220 boats paying 40 places, and you barely get your entry fee money back when you get a check. Y'all keep signing up. There's 100 on the waiting list at all of them. Or more. So there are things you could bitch about. For sure. Especially if you're actually involved in the Opens. Bitch all you want. Bitch all you want. But if you're just somebody sitting at home thinking that Bassmaster is going to reach out a hand and pull you up to the pedestal, get you up there on the stage just because you a working man and this is your dream, that's not how life works. This is how life works, at least in my experience. Hard work, a lot of risk, a lot of hours, a lot of behind-the-scenes crap that people don't see, and a little bit of good luck. And you can live your dream. Ask me how I freaking know. Ask me how I know. So I get, this week's just been crazy to me, man, and they got pummeled on it. And maybe there are 3 people in the Open. Not going to be the case, man. Not going to be the case. So, hopefully you're still with me. And, and more, I made a lot of jokes on Instagram about this week. And text our guest real quick here. But I made some Instagram stories about it. And it's just being funny. And I did have a couple of folks be like, well, you're making fun of the working man. Dude, I got 4 jobs. I'm not digging ditches. I'm not. But the amount of time I spend away from my precious family is a lot. The amount of hours I spend doing everything that I do is a lot. And I wouldn't change any of it because I do get to live my dream. I have a life that 10-year-old me would have never, ever even wrapped his head around. And I'm proud of that fact. From everything I've done in life. And everything led me to this moment at 39 years old. And it could all go away tomorrow. But I will have lived it. And it's better to have done it. You know, people throw shade. People say this, that, or the other about me and about others that actually attempt their dreams. But the difference in us and a lot of people that sit on the internet and make comments is, we tried it. I've been called a has-been, washed up. Yep. It's because I at least got to go there. I got to touch it. I got to touch it because I risked it and I tried it while you sat around and bitched about it. Must be nice. All about who you know. Crap like that. Get that out of your vocabulary, man. Do something. I don't know. It's interesting. And for me, it insulted me, so many things that people were saying about the Opens, just because the guy we're going to have on today, good friend of mine, and he has fished all of them for a couple years now. And I know what he goes through. And I know how close he's been. And he got screwed big time last year by the single divisions. And we're going to talk to him right now. He is a former FLW Tour Pro. Fished those for a couple years there, and then he had fished the Opens for many, many moons. And then since he was been a very young man, and now he is all in on the Opens. He missed the Elite Series by one spot last year. That's about the third time that he has done that. He came very close to winning an Open last year. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get him on the phone right now. Sammy George.
I have arrived.
He has arrived. So I just went, just to set this up before you and I, because you and I have been texting back and forth, and before you got on here, I kind of went through my working man rant a little bit, but more along the lines of, if you want to dream, you know, you do have to risk it. And the dream, even when you achieve it, is not necessarily a dream, right? Like, we all know that. We're just obsessed with bass fishing, and like an accountant will tell you, hey man, go get a job at Walmart, you'll be better off, right? You and I have this conversation all the time. From a
absolutely
financial standpoint, like it's you're a lot better off doing other things. But now this is, how many years is this in the Opens for you, Sam?
I think this is number 7 or 8. And, I fished the tour as well when it was the FLW tour. I fished it for a couple of years, and I still competed in Opens as well. But yeah, I've been around the block with it a little while. I've seen a lot of changes in them. I've seen a lot of guys come and go, and I feel like that's kind of why I texted you whenever this came up. Hey, I would love to talk about this, just because, a lot of the Facebook comments are people that have never been in those shoes.
That's right.
And probably will never put their money where their mouth is with it anyway.
Well, so this is what I said. This is what I said before you continue, is most of the people that say, well, next year was going to be the year I was going to do this. This is just a great excuse for them. Right? To me, and it's easy to say, well, I was going to do that, but now I can't because Bassmaster ruined that. And look, if you can only get 3 weeks vacation to go fish tournaments, I get it. But at the same time, and I've said this already, and we'll say it again, what were you going to do if you qualified? That's my biggest point, is what were you going to do? But continue, buddy. You've been in the trenches, and a Bassmaster decision in those single divisions cost you being on the Elite Series right now.
Yeah, and I give Bass props, and that wasn't a opinion of me alone. I mean, that was just kind of how it was. A lot of guys shared that same viewpoint. They kind of listened to everybody and made changes. Now, that being said, I mean, I want to start off by saying I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to simply call balls and strikes with it. And the problem, in my opinion, with a lot of the comments is people are basically getting emotionally involved, and you cannot make business decisions in this industry based off of emotions. You have to take all accounts, and basically put everything in front of you, and that's your decision with numbers, everything. And, looking at some of the comments saying, oh, well, next year I was going to do this and do that. I get it. I understand.
Maybe they
argument.
were. Maybe they were.
Now, that being said, I'll take a guy that, I'm not going to mention any names, because if I mention a name, I can already see where the comments are going to go. But he is a very, very, very good friend of both of ours, and has quickly become one of my favorite human beings just because of his hustle. And I mean, dude, this kid works just to be here. And, one of the things that immediately I noticed was everybody was saying how they can't do it now. This kid never commented. He called me and asked what I thought about it, and I told him, and he told me what he thought about it. The kid hung up, and for basically 7 days straight, he has done nothing but be on the phone trying to make it happen with the sponsors, and he has. Mm-hmm. And he kept his mouth shut, and he did whatever it was going to take. He was going to make sure that he's there next year, period, end of story, because he wants it that bad. And so, the ones that are saying, next year was going to be my year, and now I can't do it. Well, I mean, the schedule hadn't even come out yet. You've got 6 months to sell it, and if anything, it has now made it more sellable, because these companies know that you are serious about this. You're not going to fish 3 events and lay over and be done. And these companies know that they're going to put quite a bit of an investment into you. And if you qualify, they know what your intentions are, and they know that you're there to play and there to stay. And
yeah, you're not fishing all
something-
9 just to try to make the classic, right?
Exactly.
Like you're not fishing all 9. Like you sign up for those 3 divisions, like you just said. The companies you work with or the companies you're going to work with, they're going to say, by God, this dude's laying it out there. He's shooting his shot. He wants to be in the Elite Series. And say, how many guys fished them are fishing all of them this year? It's 100, right? Like it's close to that.
I believe it's close to 100. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I'm gonna go on and tell you, no matter what any Facebook comments say, I can assure you that we will have a record turnout for that next year.
No doubt about it. It'll be 150 plus fishing all 3.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so now, and that being said, a lot of guys, and this was kind of my thing, and this is why I told you I was going to simply just do the homework on it. And I like the decision, but I like to play devil's advocate a little bit in any kind of argument, just so it might bring up something that, could benefit me as well. So I've looked at it from all aspects. And one of the big arguments was, basically they eliminated any guy that could only fish a division. And I'm going to tell you right now, you are insane to think that you really and truly have a shot in a single division in this day and time.
Better
it's
chance
possible.
of getting struck by lightning.
It is possible. It is very, very possible. 3 guys do it every year. But you're talking 3 out of 225. It doesn't even come down to bad events, bad days, bad hours. It comes down to bad seconds that can cost you that entire season. So, the problem is 3 spots is so competitive. And it can go for both ways. There's guys that get in because of it. There's guys that get out because of it. I mean, dude, you can go to Florida and you can have, a dream day, and all of a sudden, your trolling motor battery dies and you get beat out by a guy for the top 10 by 3 or 4 ounces when you were on a little hot streak. Well, at the end of the year, that can cost you 2 or 3 points.
That's right.
I would have done some dirty stuff for 2 or 3 extra points last year.
Ain't no doubt about that, buddy.
And that's just how it is. But when you start talking 9 spots, that really opens up that I'm not saying it makes it easier, but it eliminates those outside factors that don't deserve to determine whether or not you have a future in the Elite Series.
That's true.
Just because you're a guy that your trolling motor died at 10 o'clock because your charger went out should not affect your entire season. And that if you're going to make it, and that does not dictate you as an angler.
And those
3 spots.
Yeah, with 3 spots, it does.
Yeah. Now 9, you can recover. And I did the numbers for it last year to make it in the overall division in the top 3. You had to average a 40th place, which is a check every single
over
time.
the course of 9 events.
I missed it by 1 place last year in the overall, and my average was a 41st place. So 1 spot off in the average. And I can look back to single things, and you can take anybody. I'm telling you, any single person in that top 10, top 15 in those points, and they can tell you about a mechanical error, a missed lock, a missed fish, a bad 10 minutes, a dead fish penalty, especially.
Yeah.
And you can they can all point to factors that determine that decision for them or not.
Yep.
I hate to use it in fishing, but for those 3 spots, how it is now, you have to do your job perfectly and then get a little lucky.
Yep. Good fortune.
And I hate having
but that's life.
That.
That's life. That's how I ended my rant. It takes hard work. It takes a lot of risk, a lot of sacrifice, and then a little bit of good luck. Like you do have to have a little bit of it. Like you just do in life. Yeah. And some people only have bad. Like that's just that's the reality of life. But what you're saying is, you look at a guy think about David Williams' season last year when he made it through. I forget which division. Dude, he top 10 them all. You going to go top 10 them all? You going to take off work and go top 10 them all? You know what I'm saying? Man, it is so hard to make it in a singular division. It always has been.
It is I've got the numbers right here. Last year, it took 17th, average of a 17th in the northern, an 18th in the southern, and an 18th in the central. 5 years ago, it was anywhere from a 32nd to a 38th place average. And mark my words, and it's taking it right now, average-wise, and it will take it, if not higher. It will take a 12th place average this year to make it in the single division.
For sure.
If not a 10th, which is 3 cuts in a row.
But something that you and I have also talked about that's interesting is the guy, you got like a guy like Coop Gallant. You got guys like Keith Poche, John Sokup, fishing all 3 divisions, right? And with chances to double qualify. So that's a factor as well. Of course, Bass sorts that out and takes care of that. But that's what I'm saying is these guys that are fishing all of them, if you are a guy fishing a singular division, and that's all you're going to fish, and nothing changed. This is what I've been thinking about. And nothing changed. It's the same as always. You're essentially fighting for 2 spots, most likely. Yeah. Because the guys that are committed to fishing all of them, most likely are going to kick your teeth in anyways because they are more serious than you are on a lot of levels. No offense, but they just are. They are risking it all to do this. And so you're actually fighting for fewer spots than you realize.
Oh, yeah. You can rest assured before you leave the house, 1, if not 2 spots are done. Like they're taken, you can go ahead and count them out. Period. In the store. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a realist with it. I mean, that's just how it is. Now, talking about averages and numbers and finishes, like I said a minute ago, it took a 40th place to make it in the overall as far as the average goes. Now, everybody wants to say, that doesn't sound bad, but you start doing it with 225 boats and 9 events and throw in northern waters and factors and breakdowns and mechanical. I mean, it's a hard thing to do.
It's a long
you're trying
year.
To basically essentially win Angler of the Year against 100 guys.
Yep.
Now, that being said, they want to say that they've eliminated a chance to finish 9th last year. It was an average of a 60th. And I'm not saying that's easier because I don't really like
a 60th place finish in a 225 boat open is a good finish.
Yes. But you can recover. So like say you go to Florida and you finish 100th, okay? Then you go to, I don't know, we'll say Smith Lake and you finish 5th. Well, now that's basically the equivalent of like 250ths.
Yep.
Like you cancel that out, you can recover. And, and a lot of it, might not be just your fishing. I mean, you could, have a trolling motor blow up and then, in a singular division, you're done. Yep. I mean, you can't, if you miss the top 15 in a single division right now, you might as well stay at the house.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just the realistic.
And it's funny, like sitting here talking last year, which I've talked about this a ton, but I had no desire to make the elites. You know that. I like fishing the opens. I got sponsors that wanted me to fish them last year and this year, and I jumped in, and I love seeing everybody and hanging out. And on the chance that you have a great week, you go to the freaking Classic, man. Like that's every fisherman's dream. But for me, the Elite Series is not, I'm not going to sign up for all 9. But last year it was funny. I had a good friend of mine was like, I finished whatever at Pickwick, 65. And somebody's like, well, man, you're still in it. And I said, for what? They're like, well, the Elite Series. And we had never had this conversation that wasn't a dream of mine, right? And I said, well, no, that's over. And they're like, what? You finished 60th, man. You have a couple good times. I'm like, no, it's over. Like a 60th, you cannot have 160th. You can't have 130th. Like you can't in a singular division. Like that's just what I want people to understand. And talking to you, especially, that was one of the reasons is because you've been in the trenches, and so many guys that we know. Josh Douglas was there in the trenches for years. You look at a guy. I've seen comments like this. Look at a guy like Jason Christie. Just shows you what a machine he is. But he's fishing Bass Pro Tour. He decides it's not for him, and he wants to come back. He fished all 8 opens. All 8. And the Bass Pro Tour. Like, he risked it all, because I've seen people go, well, Brandon Palaniuk would have never been able to do this. You would have ruined his dream. Yeah, he would have. I can assure you Brandon
Palaniuk would have come over and made it real quick for 9 spots. I've seen it this week with J.C. Currett right now. Catching a bajillion pounds of smallmouth. People say, well, he wouldn't have made it in the new format at this point. I can assure you,
whatever.
I've watched Jay. I work with him with Luz. That kid has got it.
Yes.
You can look at somebody and know when someone's got it and doesn't. That kid has got it.
He's a freak,
and I'm telling you, like, he would have been A-OK, if not one AOI, if he'd fished all 9. I mean, he is
without a doubt.
He's got it. And so and my thing is really and truly, and this is what I had a conversation with a guy with the other day. If you fish, all divisions, and you say finish in the top 3 in a singular division next year, I can assure you, unless you just bomb the other 2, you will be in that top 9 in the overall if you were within the top 3 of a singular division.
Oh my gosh, yes, without a doubt.
Because basically, about everybody that made it in a singular division last year, or was with COVID, was within the top 3 in a single division last year. Basically, all of them were, right there in striking distance of the top 3 in the overall as well. It's just almost impossible number-wise to not do it. So,
well, and I think this, I talked about this earlier as well before I called, but people got to realize that getting to the Elite Series is way harder than they realize, they accept. But you also, we're seeing it right now with our buddy Justin Atkins, right? Like, he's one of the best fishermen in the freaking world. And he's had a mediocre run at it in the Elite Series. And he can hang with anybody. He's proven it over and over and over. So those guys don't want as many elite spots getting cut, because once you get there, you deserve a chance to hang in there a little bit like you do. So they are going to take 3 less spots going in after next year. And this has been voted on by the Elite Series anglers. And, I've seen some comments, keep to keep the Bass Pro Tour guys out. Well, man, I'm just going to be honest with you. You look at a guy like Prosnick. He said, I don't like the way this BPT deal is going, so I'm just going to quit. And he did. Yeah. He quit. And he risked it all, and he fished 8 opens, and guess what he did? He requalified. So if any of those guys are out there, this did take them out from being able to, unless they can fish all 9, and maybe the schedules line up because they have before. They did for Christie. Yeah. But they did force them to make a decision. But again, that's not Bass's fault that you're over there necessarily. You know what I mean? Maybe it is, but it's just like, this is just, your dream is not somebody else's responsibility is my point in life.
Yeah. I spoke with a guy that is, we'll just say, on a field trip, and not happy. And I think that he was on the fence with 3 spots. And I think that him, including a few other guys, now that they saw that it's 9, I think that they realize that's a realistic opportunity. And I'll just say, I think it'll be kind of interesting in the coming months
to see the names,
where that directs.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift on that.
There's no doubt.
And on 3 spots, another mutual friend of ours, he was on the fence, kind of hard to make a decision what he wanted to do with his future and everything. And he said, I just can't justify, just going anywhere right now for three chances. He'll bring up the same thing. He said, first off, you got to catch the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Which you have to do. That's
you have to do that regardless.
Second off, say you have a blowout on the way to the tournament and you show up 2 days late, like for practice, there's so many outside factors that can cost you one of those 3 spots. And it has nothing to do with whether you're an elite level angler. It's just the numbers just do not add up for it to be realistic. Yeah. Where all this started, and whenever you were bringing up, like the current elite guys voting on it, basically it all came around from a problem of guys making it in a single division that are not prepared and do not understand the demands of it, the financial demands of it, the physical demands of it. And then they get 3 or 4 tournaments deep and they drop out for the year or claim a medical exemption.
On the Elite Series, yes. All of a sudden, their neck hurts really bad.
Yes, it affects the payouts. Yep. It affects the points because, if you're a guy if you're fighting back and forth for a classic spot and a guy drops out, every tournament you do well in, you're losing a point potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So like, at the end of the season, say 7, 8 guys drop out, that's a lot of points when you start talking classic cuts, AOYs, things like that. Just because, that the points work from the top down or whatever, but every guy that's in there creates distance between you and your competition. You understand what I'm saying? Like it basically is adding points to it. So like you have that, you have the payouts that are affected. So, they were actually the ones that came up with this idea, to where if they start with 100 guys, they're going to finish with 100 instead of finishing with 92 or 94, stuff like that. So there's a lot of factors that some commenters are not taking into consideration.
Well, they never do, regardless of what they're commenting on. But so something that does pop up, and I wanted to ask you this and let you tell your story. But man, you are certainly a guy that you spend a lot of time on the water, but you also bust your ass at home, man. You work. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand. And I want to say life is about decisions at times as well, right? Like some people, your situation is laid out before you, and you have a choice of how you will then either bounce back in life or figure out how to make things happen. I see it on a daily basis with people, and you do as well. But obviously you got a great family that believes in you, that have helped you in life to get to where you're at. But man, you bust your freaking ass when you're not bass fishing. Like you just do. Talk about that.
Yeah. And so, I've been very blessed. I had a family, that, everybody thinks that you just have an unlimited credit card. I can assure you that is not.
And ladies and gentlemen, special guest Kip George on the phone.
Yeah.
He'll tell you different. He'll tell you different.
I can assure you that is not the case. And that is not the case with a lot of guys, surprisingly.
Not at all.
Whatever they want to say or not. But no, so like, basically I've always wanted to fish professionally and, make a living fishing. Well, when I was at home, I fished out of my dad's boat when I was 14, 15 years old. And he had an old Bumblebee. I mean, nothing just crazy fancy. Well, when I started getting serious about it, it got to where I was fishing a lot of tournaments around home, and he would let me use the boat, start having, mechanical issues and stuff here and there that, I wouldn't say cost you events, but it affects your day. And, he realized that I was wanting to get serious into this and, basically said, okay, if you want to take this seriously and, basically you need the equipment to do this right. I'm all for that, but you're going to you got to find the deal for it. You got to go sell it. And, so that's when I got involved, with Skeeter that year. And basically, I had to go basically figure out how to sell a deal to Skeeter and become involved with that business. And, and the sponsor side of everything, like he said, I'll support you and I support your decisions, but I can't pay for all this. You got to figure out how to do that. And, started surrounding myself with the right people and learning the business side of it. I got on the Skeeter team, and that basically, every year selling my boat and, everything, I'd use it for the year and sell it. And that's how I'd pay for my following year. And, with what I made selling that boat. And so that kind of got the groundwork laid out. And, there were times, I can assure you, there were times where when I was 18, 19 years old, I'd be in, Oklahoma, and I didn't even have the money to drive home. I'd be like, hey, you're going to have to PayPal me $300 and I'll work it off on the farm when I get home. So I realized really, really, really fast, that truly fishing for a living, like the demand of it as far as financial, physical, but mostly financial. And we had, I grew up, we have a farm and everything. And we basically started a Christmas tree farm. And at the time, we were just selling a couple $1,000 in trees a year, basically nothing. And I realized, the opportunity at hand to build a business that could allow me to do what I wanted to do the other 10 months out of the year. And, finally I we kind of had one of those sit down meetings where I was like, hey, I really think that I want to fish full time. I know that there's going to be stepping stones where financially it's going to be tough. And this is a business that I think that I can grow, support a family with one day. And, basically kind of took the reins on that. And we've had tough years. We've had fantastic years, and we've turned it into a, 6-figure business over the course of the last few years. And as far as, grossing. So, basically I kind of had to make my whole life and decisions around the opportunity to fish for a living.
That's it.
And I get that, it's not everybody has it as simple. Now, that being said, I mean, we've had tough years where, I've had to do other things. I mean, I've worked for a friend of mine that has a moving company. I've worked for, I work part-time. We do like medical cleaning supply sales. I mean, I kind of do a little bit of everything just to eliminate that factor of worrying about, am I going to be able to pay my bills when I get home if I don't cash a check? And that kind of makes it a little more comfortable. But basically where I'm going with that is it's taken a really long time to make the right investments, the right decisions, the time behind other businesses in order to, basically build your life around the opportunity to fish for a living. And it's a lot easier said than done, but it is
Absolutely.
Very possible. I've seen plenty of guys do it. I saw my travel partner, a really good friend of mine, Kyle Austin, he commented something on there, and immediately the Mom's Basement people jumped on him.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, it looked like a bonita jumping into a swarm of sharks. You could see it coming. Well, anyways, of course they get on him. Well, he's never worked a hard day in his life. I'm telling you, we were in New York for 2 weeks straight, and he came home and he had 7 straight days of guiding on Santee Cooper in 100-degree heat. And he's going to do another 5 trips. He comes home and goes to work, period, end of story. And he's got probably one of the more successful guide businesses of anybody I know. And he does it all to be able to chase the dream of it. And he makes sacrifices in a, AC 9-to-5 job at a desk. He'd rather work his tail off and sweat his tail off all day, every day to be able to chase his dream with it. Absolutely. And, same guy. I mean, it doesn't stop there. It's everybody.
It's everybody. It's Chad. It's our. We know Chad Smith from Minnesota. He comes down, man. Sleeps in the bed of his freaking truck every night, dude. I mean, he does.
Yeah.
You see guys like that. We saw Polnick do that when he first got out there. The Tundra Suites, he called it. We've seen that. See Coop Gallant this year sleeps in a freaking tent everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes. And you know what else he does? He films every single second of it. Edits these amazing videos and is super competitive, obviously, in the Opens. Yeah. And it's like, man, if you can see all these people doing this stuff, what's your excuse? Now, granted, look, I don't want this to be just a beatdown as well, because I understand it. I have 5 children. Okay, you know that as well as anybody. And where I'm at in life right now, I can certainly afford it to chase the Opens if I wanted to do all 9. I could, but man. The financial risk of it, though, with my other things I have going on that pay my light bill and pay my kids' college tuition and put food on the table, would be at jeopardy, right? They would be at risk, and so in jeopardy. So I don't do that anymore. I chased music. I've chased lots of things. But what it always came down to me that kept me somewhat grounded and not going further into the pursuit, which can take you through some damn sure rocky roads, was my family and responsibility. Now, look, there are a lot of people that just shelve that responsibility and don't worry about it, that have kids, or they have a wife that's like, hey, baby, let's try this. Whatever the case is. And mine would look at me right now and tell me that too. Hey, if this is what you want to do, then go for it. But for me, I've always had that perspective of I'm not willing to put their futures on the line just to, quote, live a childhood dream of mine. I'm just not. Now, me being involved in fishing, the fishing industry has been very good for our family. Anybody under this roof will tell you that. But I think it does come down to, like I said before, decisions and your situation. So I get it that if you're working a 9 to 5, wherever, for some whatever boss, and you got 3 kids at home that maybe your only chance of getting to live your dream was getting to fish a single division of the Bassmaster Opens and hoping you qualified and then figuring it out after the fact. But I'm here to tell you, and Sam George will tell you too, that your dream was going to be a nightmare very quickly if that was the approach. And that's just the reality of the situation.
It actually takes about 5 days from the day of the last tournament to the day they tell you you got $40,000 worth of payments to you.
Yes, immediately.
I mean, and look, I'm here, like I said, I'm calling balls and strikes with it. That is the reality of it.
It's just reality. It's reality. Facts hurt feelings, and I understand that.
Here's
but
when we were talking about basically forming your life around that opportunity, James Watson, and this is one thing that stuck in my head for a long time, and this was one that probably would have saved me a lot of struggles over the last few years, is James Watson said one thing that stuck with me, and he was talking about, basically kids asking, what courses should they do to fish for a living in this. And he said one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard, he said, find a career that will allow you to do it and basically give you that freedom to chase that opportunity. Like, instead of coming out of the gate saying, all I want to do is fish for a living, take a step back, fish, but find something that will allow you to do it, whether it takes you 1 year to make the elites, 5 years to make the elites, 8 years to make the elites. You may never make it. But if you can find something right off the get-go that's going to allow you to be comfortable financially and pursue that, that is the best piece of advice I've heard for doing it, and that I have, since hearing that, tried to do myself. And I think that, guys that understand that, those are the ones that you see that are very successful and very comfortable, and, their families are comfortable with it. And that's just the reality of it.
Well, I had a guy on Facebook take a shot at me when I said something about the working man. I would love to fish all summer for smallmouth in Wisconsin. I made a post, but I'm a working man, so I can't. And a guy said, well, man, a working man like you in the industry should love this choice because you'll just be able to go do it. And it's so funny, the misconceptions. And you know me, you're one of my close friends. You know my family well. You know my life, and you know my history. You and I met when you were a very young man through TH Marine, and you know what I do on a daily basis, and you know what my life is, and you know what my job is. But what's so funny is I was 19, 20, 21, trying to make the Elite Series, or Bassmaster Tour at the time is what it was called, but barely missed it my first year at 19 and was crushed, man, and thought, oh, my God, my dreams are over. And at 22 years old, I went to work for TH. And, dude, from 2005 until 2013 in my life, I worked.
Yeah.
Just like I do now, but I did none of the extracurricular things that I do now, but for 8 years. And then in 2013, I fished 2 FLWs as a co-angler and some Alabama bass trails with my boss at the time. And then in 2015, got the opportunity to fish as a co-angler, and that kind of led to everything I have going now. But so think about that. So I worked a career for 10 years with the company in the fishing industry that I could have never got off work to go do this stuff for. That's in the industry. That's what I'm saying. And then certain opportunities and doors open and things change within the company that allowed me the opportunity to do the things I'm doing now. So I do totally agree with you that if you are obsessed in any capacity with this dream, you do have to set yourself up. And unfortunately, if you are 50 years old and you've been working the same job for 30 years, you might not have that opportunity now. You might not. I'll say that. It sucks for you that if in the back of your mind you thought you were going to go fish 3 and that was just going to be when the dream was going to take off, man, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, I'm sorry. Like I am sorry if you feel like your dreams are legitimately crushed by this decision, but I just don't think that you understand what you're getting into. And that's what I try to stress on this show week in and week out with the people I interview. I like to know what makes people tick. Like I had Jay Shakurin on. Hey, man, what got you into this? Why, where have you been in your journey to get here. And he's like, I did this as a co-angler, and I did this, and I did that. And it's impressive to hear those stories for people that are, and I always say it on the show, you have to be obsessed. And if you're not, Sam George is going to take your money in the long run. I mean, and guys and not you in particular, you know what I'm saying? Just like guys like you, dude, your whole life, this is your life's work. It's what you want.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, and I say I've got other stuff, but I mean, man, like I have to catch them to pay my bills. I mean, I can assure you when like my paycheck from Oneida showed up on Friday at like 1 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock, that son of a gun was gone paying bills. I mean, it's just how it is. But here's the deal is like, and I'm not saying, I mean, I'm not coming from just me standpoint, but you got to realize that these guys that, a lot of the Facebook warriors here, that are, claiming that they're working men and claiming all these guys fishing aren't, but
they stay on Facebook all day.
I'm going to tell you right now, the most dangerous man in the tournament field is the one who's like mortgage and food depend on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to show up and think that you're going to take his money. I mean, that's what he's like. His whole life is around that. He's there to crush your throat.
Gerald Swindle became, and Wesley Strader and Andy Morgan, they became the most consistent check cashers in professional bass fishing out of necessity because they were working other jobs and they didn't want to do that anymore. So they just got to where they figured out their formula for success, how to get checks, and it's still going to this day. I saw people say, what's Gerald Swindle say about this? Gerald Swindle thought your Facebook comments were dumb. And he was a working man that left the damn tournaments and came home and swung a hammer on a construction crew building houses. And it took him until 1998, which is not that long ago necessarily. 1998, when in Beaver Lake, the FLW Tour, he got a $100,000 check, and he came back to the job site the next week and he cut his custom-made hammer in half with a skill saw in front of his crew and said, now I'm going for it. And so it just, man, nobody's handing you crap on a silver platter. Like, they're just not like that. And look, even when you achieve the dream of qualifying, the work has just began, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're fixing to take it, but it's hard enough to make it. And I promise you, when you get there, you got to kick it in. You think you got 10 years, you got to find 12 and 14 really freaking fast.
Yes.
Because those guys, you think people are like relying on money now? You wait till you get to the Elite Series and see how fast they're ready to take your money. I mean, if you told me right now I'm going to stand on the end of a dock in the top 10 on the final day, and the only thing that stands between you and Greg Hackney and Jason Christie making his mortgage payment, kids' college payment, like the only thing between you and that is you, or them and that is you.
Yeah, let me tell you how that'll work out. Yeah.
Oh, they get off on that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, they get their rocks off on like, come on, big boy. Come on, big boy. Welcome to the party.
Well, that gets, I mean, you have to realize, like, those guys, that's their adrenaline.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they live for. They're there to crush your dreams.
Yes. Yeah, you want to talk about dream crushers? They're on the Elite Series waiting for you, bud.
Oh, yeah. When you walk in, they're just wait. They look at you like nothing but the next guy that's going to pay their bills.
Yep, and have been doing so for a very, very, very long time. And you look at a guy like Hackney, came back from BPT, qualified, came right on back. Just went on through. Same with Christie. These guys certainly they get it, man, all the way around. And look, I've compared it to the Atlanta Braves. I've compared it to NASCAR, NFL. People are like, this is the most exclusive pro sport. No, actually, there's more, quote, professional spots in this sport than any sport in the country.
Yeah, it's actually realistic.
Realistically.
And one of my things, this is one of my arguments talking to Mr. Brad Knight. Of course, he was highly opinionated about that.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's going to send it.
His quote was, when you go to a football game or a baseball game, usually the loudest people in the stands are the ones that have never played, nor will they ever play, or try to play. But I kind of had been thinking of something to compare it to, and I mean, it would be like if you play backyard baseball and you're throwing strikeouts in backyard baseball, it'd be about like claiming, well, I would go try out for the Braves, but they require a $5,000 entry fee to go in and try out. I can't do it, man. I can't pay that.
They need 9 weeks of me being at practice, and I can't get off work for that.
So I can't go play. Sorry. But if it wasn't for that, man, I'd be throwing strikeouts all day.
Yeah, I'd be burning them down.
Playing for the Braves. So,
that's right.
And man, I understand. I'm not here to purposely step on toes with it, but the thing that really got under my skin was reading comments, shooting shots at guys that they have no idea what they go home and do to be able to afford to do what they want to do.
Yes. Well, we do live in a country where it's the must be nice mentality, where everybody just thinks everything's just sugar coated. Because I know I get it every single day, and my wife and kids laugh at that. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm glad they all think they know what you do to do what you do in life. And it's like people don't understand sacrifice, and they ultimately don't understand. Now, I'm not saying they don't understand hard work, because I think a lot of people comment and have very difficult jobs that they hate, and that's why they would love a chance to be a professional bass angler. But I don't think they understand any kind of dream job, what it entails. And man, I'm just on the edge of it, but like seeing guys and knowing guys, and you know him well, like Gerald Swindle, and what he goes through, not only to remain competitive on the water, but on the sponsor side of it, and how much of his life he doesn't have control of, basically. You know what I mean? Just like he given his time, and he's always on, and he's always having to be engaged in what he's doing, but that's how he pays the bills, and it's how he's paid the bills for very many years. But there are so many more layers to it than just getting to the Elite Series or getting to the Bass Pro Tour.
I think it's funny too, because it's kind of funny as far as like just how it is being sometimes like hearing the inside of it. Everybody on the outside like talking about a dream. You would be highly surprised at how many guys, when you're just one-on-one, how much they would like. A lot of them are like, man, why do we do this? Like,
you're talking to one of them. We've talked about it. Like, why the hell wouldn't it just be more fun if we just went 6 weeks fishing at places where they were really biting and there weren't 200 other people? Like, it would be a lot more fun.
And dude, you're talking when you're gone. You have 18, 20-hour days for 7 days, and sometimes don't get paid. If you do that in any other job, that's good money. And
that's right.
A lot of them, you'll sit there, and a lot of them, they say, why do we do this and that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to tell you right now, though, that 99% of them wouldn't trade it for the world. And it goes back to what we're saying. It's like a thing that is so deep, it can't be taken out of you, and you'll do it at all costs. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like an addictive factor. Like,
it is very
I've had days, I've had days where, I'm like, why do we do this? Why do we do this? And then, when you come back to weigh in and you've done your job and you kind of like, you see what you've done, then you kind of get that feeling of it's a reward. Like, one of the biggest highs I've ever felt was last year at Oneida. I was in second going into the final day. And I still remember I walked down to the dock and I could see where I was fishing that next day. And all I could think about was how every mile you've walked around, every golf course pond, every mile you've traveled, every penny you've spent, every night tournament you fished, everything that basically stands between you and a classic is right there. You do your job tomorrow, everything you've ever done, you're going to the classic. And it was like a feeling of, basically all your years of work and struggle and why do we do this? I could be working at McDonald's making more money, but it all came down to that one little chance, that one little high.
Changes.
You talk to guys, that's what they live for.
Mm-hmm.
Your Hackneys and Christies, they live for that one chance out of a season, sometimes maybe more, to have that feeling of everything coming together. And that's why we do it. And so, and in that moment, you're willing to put anything on the line to have that. So it's kind of a shame for the ones that want to say, you just eliminated me because, if that's truly what eliminated you, I really don't think that you had what it
You weren't in it. You weren't in it from the start. Yeah, you weren't in it from the start. If one announcement, one press release on Facebook hurled your entire life down a staircase with no bottom, then you weren't climbing the stairs anyways. You just weren't.
Right.
You just weren't.
And
you
really
weren't
and truly, if you wanted to look at it from the numbers and stats standpoint, which people fail to do, and nowadays in time, if you want to look at the numbers, if anything, it just opened the door for you so wide you don't even realize it.
Yep.
Now, instead of all these other factors of, what if my boat breaks down? What if I don't catch them at this tournament or that tournament? What if I have an 80th here and then a 90th there? All that stuff just basically got eliminated to the point where all you got to do is just do your job and sell the sponsorships to do it.
Yep.
That's just the basic. That's the basic truth of it. And and I can assure you, from being in the industry for a really, really long time, and you being on the all sides of it, you've sold sponsors. You've been the one to sign the business.
Getting sold, yeah, that's
deals.
right. Yeah.
And I think that you would agree that this is attractive 10 times over than a guy fishing just 3 of them.
Yes.
As far as a truly sellable thing, because you're not going to just fall out after 3 and we never hear from you again.
Mm-hmm.
You're a guy that's showing commitment. You're a guy that truly has a chance. And on top of that, the exposure that's going to come with it. They've basically said that, they're planning on really giving those guys a lot of love, which is going to in turn make it a hell of a lot easier to sell it than
they're going to have a separate deal on their website that's devoted to these anglers fighting for that Elite Series, those Elite Series berths. Like the guys that are just in 3 events or cherry picking events, unless you win, the guys fishing all night are going to get the press. They're going to get the love. There's going to be a ton of content with them. People are going to get to know their stories, because bass is as people invest in bass, they are going to invest back into those guys as prospects. It's no different than Major League Baseball drafting people, other than, you get paid when you get drafted. And instead, then bass fishing, we pay to be. Congratulations.
You get to play. You get to open the freaking Braves this year, but you got to pay $50,000 first.
Right. Exactly right. It is funny. That's what I said in my rant before I called you. I said, if you want to bitch about something, let's bitch about that. Let's just bitch about that. Let's bitch at the companies in the billion-dollar fishing industry that truly tournament fishing is such a small part of, do not support their own industry that much, where we can't have $1 million tournaments or $500,000 tournaments. We're fighting for the same money, and the same companies in the industry sponsor the same tournament trails over and over and over and over and over. And it's a $1 billion industry.
If you think the 9 Opens announcement was a kick in the nuts to a working man, they need to rewind to about 2010 when bass boats became about $75,000.
I was going to say $115,000. Yeah, exactly.
If you think the Opens announcement was what shot the final shot there, we need to rewind a little bit.
Exactly right. There are several factors that we can all get together and piss and moan about.
New York 789.
Yeah.
My wife has to go to work one day just to pay for the other days to go to work.
Exactly right. So I say, folks can't afford to go to work, and we're over here fighting about the Bassmaster Opens, man.
Yeah.
It's wild times, Sammy. Well, dude, I appreciate it. You always you look at a lot of things from a number standpoint when we talk, and you and I were texting when this announcement came out, and I wanted to have you on to shed some light, for people, and hope you guys listening enjoyed that from Sam, and certainly not trying to offend anybody. Look, I get it. I understand doors closing. We talked about that with Todd Castledine last week, but doors will open for you in your life if you figure out a path to that door. I mean, it's just plain and simple. I'm a firm believer in that because I live it every day. So I appreciate you, buddy.
That's, and in closing, everybody that wants to think a dream is dead now, I can assure you that it is alive, and it's going to be bigger than ever. Now, there's going to be more factors, more work, that you may not have foreseen. But I think that the opportunity, if that's truly your goal in life, I think it's better now than it ever has been.
Yep.
And a guy like Castledine, I can promise you, he's going to look at that announcement. He's going to think, pretty hard about what he's going to do with it.
Yeah.
And
take it more serious for sure.
Yeah. And he's going to be dangerous in that situation.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Either way,
Well,
whether it's a single division, 9 divisions, whatever, you got to catch them, and you got to figure out how you're going to pay for the next level and how you're going to make the next level work if you get to the Elite Series. So it's just the bottom line, and it takes a lot to do that. And, Sam, you were living proof of it, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well, I enjoyed it. Hope we didn't tread on too many toes. I'm sure I'll get some messages about it. But, if you have an opinion about it, let me know. I'm all about, if you have a side of it that I don't, know about or haven't heard of, I'm completely fine to hear about it. Because like you said, I'm just here to call balls and strikes and look at the numbers of it. And if it's going to benefit me in my decisions, then I'd love to hear about it.
No doubt. No doubt about it. And if everybody had the same opinion, the world would be scary, boring. So, but some of the opinions are just really dumb. That's all I'm saying. Some of the knee-jerk reactions are just silly. But
I can't wait to read the comments here.
Oh, they'll be fun. They're always fun, week after week, man. But I appreciate you, buddy, very much. Tell Savannah I appreciate her sharing you this morning with us.
Oh, yeah. We're good. I'm going to get back to watching Jay Shakur catch a bajillion pounds.
Over and over and over every cast. All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
We'll see y'all.
See Sammy. Sam George, ladies and gentlemen, right there on the old hotline. And I just, there's not a lot I can say to tag on that. This was a fun episode. I think that Sam is certainly a guy that he's lived it, man. He's living it. He's not in the comments. He's living it, and he's lived it for a long time, and he has set his life up for this moment. Next year will be his 3rd year fishing all the Opens, and he is, he's trying to get there. It's all he's wanted since he was 10 years old. And so, like I said, life comes down to decisions. It comes down to making the most of it, and it comes down to making the correct decisions for you, for your family. And it just is what it is, man. I don't think anybody on the Elite Series will tell you, if you interviewed all the guys, that it was easy getting there, that it is easy now that they are there, and every path, and of course Sam's journey, Sam's quest that he's on is going to be different than everybody else. And the guys on the Elite Series, their stories are all different, but they all got there with risk and sacrifice and hard work. And it's just the bottom line. It's the bottom line. So thank y'all for listening. I appreciate it each and every week. Going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues. If you're at ICAST, come say hey. And I will see y'all next week.
From town to Tupelo, I never could make it last. Spanish moss, a Civil War ghost, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.